sword-fighting, swashbuckling buccaneers with peg legs, eye patches, and parrots on the shoulders. These are some of the images that come to mind when we think of pirates. Some other things that come to mind would be Pirates of the Caribbean with Johnny Depp, or famous pirates like Blackbeard or Captain Kidd. Today I would like to give you an informative speech on pirates during the Golden Age of piracy. The Golden Age of piracy was a high point in history when piracy and pirate activity was at an all-time high. From 1630 to 1732, this is the time period when the most famous pirates that we know of today came out of there from history. The notable pirates that we will be talking about today include Captain Henry Avery, Captain Edward Teach, and Captain Woodes Rogers. Today we will start our discussion with Captain Henry Avery. Captain Henry Avery began his career at sea at a young age, often sailing on merchant ships, working as first mates or second mates. He has circumnavigated the world, I think, at least once time, if not twice. When he became of age, he joined the British Royal Navy as an officer. After his stint in the Navy, Captain Henry Avery rejoined his life as a merchant sailor and joined the crew on the merchant ship Henry II. During this voyage, Henry instigated a mutiny and took over the ship and renamed it the Fancy. This began his pirate career in 1694. Henry Avery was probably the most famous pirate of them all. Often referred to as a pirate king, his legend stories were the inspiration for sailors, soldiers, civilians, and pirates alike. One of the most famous of his stories was the legend of Henry's capture of an Indian treasure fleet belonging to the Grand Mughal Aurangzeb. According to this legend, the Mughal's daughter was on board one of the ships that Avery had captured. When Avery met the daughter, he soon fell in love with her, immediately married her, and after he had acquired all of his wealth and riches, they retired to an island somewhere unknown and lived out the rest of their days. These stories were just some of the inspiration for many of the famous pirates that came out of this time period. Captain Blackbeard was one of them. Blackbeard, or Edward Teach, sometimes known as Edward Thatch to historians, was born in 1680 and died in 1718. Coming from a fairly wealthy family in Poole, England, Teach began his pirating career at a young age when he began an apprenticeship under the famous pirate Benjamin Hornigold. Fearsome in battle, Teach is often characterized as wearing at least 20 knives, 12 pistols, his sword, and he would wear flaming fuses tied in coils into his hair. A fearsome sight to behold, as we can clearly see in this image here. During one of his famous battles, Blackbeard died after supposedly having been shot at least 20 times, asserting some broken ribs, and having been decapitated and thrown overboard. During this battle, Blackbeard died at the hands of Woodes Rogers' forces. Woodes Rogers was just another person that was also inspired by Henry Avery. Although instead of becoming a pirate, Woodes Rogers first became a privateer and then soon after that became a pirate hunter. Born in 1679, Woodes Rogers also came from a wealthy family in Poole, England. It is most likely that these two men, Blackbeard and Woodes Rogers, would have known each other at some points during their lives before joining the Navy or the traveling to sea. Woodes Rogers also circumnavigated the world during his years as a privateer. He became a privateer sometime in 1708 to 1711 in order to save his family's merchant sailing business. After he had finished his stint at privateering, he was appointed to the first royal governor of the Bahamas in 1717. During this time, Woodes was commissioned with ending the pirate regime that was controlling the Bahamas and the Caribbean at this time period. Woodes spends most of his life tracking down all pirates and putting an end to them. During this time period, Rogers is famous for tracking down Edward Teach and putting an end to the famous pirate Captain Blackbeard. Woods died in 1732 under very mysterious circumstances that most scholars believe was probably due to the pirate hunting. So to sum it all up, Henry Avery inspired the legends and the myths of the classical pirates that inspired many of the famous pirates and pirate hunters that came out of this time period. Blackbeard was inspired by Avery's stories to become a pirate. His actions as a pirate, his deeds, and his own legends were just some of the things that characterized the golden age of piracy. It is also known that he is one of the last pirates to come out of this age. Woodes Rogers, who was also inspired by Avery's stories, instead of becoming a pirate, became a pirate hunter. After a brief time of privateering or piracy, which he performed to protect his family's shipping business, and to understand the way that pirates think, according to scholars, Rogers is credited with putting an end to the golden age of piracy. So ended the age of piracy.